So we've already gone past half of 2024. And by now, almost every mobile phone for the year has been released. And you've probably seen them all by now. And it gets a little confusing if you have to make a decision right now to buy a mobile phone because there are so many of these phones in the market. So in order to make it easier for you to pick a phone in the market, that is why I want to share with you my experience with the Samsung Galaxy A55 in the past 6 or 7 months that I've been using it. Now, this device has actually proven to hold up really fine. So let's talk about it. Now, there are a few things that have made this phone stand out for me. Now, Samsung has actually tried to make these A-series devices resemble the premium line S-series devices. To give you that feeling of, even though I'm using a mid-range phone, it still feels like I'm using a flagship device. Now, unlike previous A-series devices, they are using premium materials for these new A-series devices, which is that feeling I talked about earlier. Once you pick this phone up for the first time, one of the first things you will notice is how premium this device feels, even though it's a mid-range device. So the frame of the Galaxy A55 is actually aluminum instead of plastic, and that makes the device feel really premium. And the other thing here that makes this device feel like the S-series devices is basically the design. It has the completely flat edge design, just like the Galaxy S24. Personally, I've come to love these flat edge designs because when you hold the phone just sits well in your palm. And I love the little cutout here that they've now added to these new A-series devices, making the device very easy to hold, and your thumb can actually rest at this point very comfortably. Now, for the Galaxy A55, the edges are a bit sharp. Like if you touch the edges, you will actually feel how sharp the edges are, but it's not really a deal breaker for me. I love these flat edge designs. And also for the back of the device, they use glass instead of plastic that you'd expect for this kind of devices. And these are the little things that have actually made me come to love this A55. And also a big addition here is that the Galaxy A55 is IP67 water and dust resistant. So which means this phone should be able to survive inside water for at least 30 minutes before you bring it out. Even though it's a water resistant device, I wouldn't advise you to take it to the pool and go and swim before it will end in tears, but it's there. And for most mid-range devices, one of the places that you're actually going to see that these devices are poorly built is in the buttons. But for the Galaxy A55, the volume up and down buttons and the power button are very clicky, and they're not going to fall off eventually. Now, at the bottom of the Galaxy A55, you have a USB Type-C port, and this phone is capable of 25 watts wired charging, which is kind of a disappointment. I actually expected this device to come with nothing less than 35 watts fast charging, but it is what it is. You get 25 watts. Also at the bottom here, you have 2 microphone outlets, and you have a single firing speaker which pairs up with the earpiece to give you that stereo speaker sound. And then at the top of the device, you have the SIM tray. It can take 2 SIM cards, 2 micro SIM cards. And then you have a noise cancelling microphone up there. Overall, the build quality of this device, I'm going to give it an 8/10 rating. One of the biggest things for me about the Samsung Galaxy A55 is actually the display. And this shouldn't come as a surprise to you because, of course, it's a Samsung phone, and we all know Samsung is the king of mobile displays. And the display on the Galaxy A55 is even sharper and better than the display on most flagship phones. However, something that is a bit of a turn-off for me on this display is the bezels. Now, these bezels are so large and they are so noticeable, and it basically looks like a very large black ring that goes around the display, and it's something I don't really like. And the thing is, Samsung didn't even make an effort to find a way to hide those bezels, but the bezels are just too thick and it's a turn off. And normally for something like this, I will be able to get used to it very fast, but I just can't unsee it. So every time I look at this display, I see these large bezels, and it's actually very annoying. And also another thing that has made my experience with this device worthy is the fact that the new One UI on these devices is actually very cleaner, it's sweeter, and it's more smooth to use. Samsung has done a lot of work to actually turn down the bloatwares that come inside these devices a ton. Samsung is intentionally trying maybe to give you that iPhone feel here when it comes to the user interface. So you just have a few bloatwares here that come here, and some of them might be useful to you. Like you have Netflix, you have Spotify, and then you have some Microsoft apps here, and some stock Samsung apps, and of course Google apps, and all of them might just be useful to you. That is the good thing about the apps that came in here. Like for me, all of them are useful. I'm a Netflix user, I'm a Spotify user, and I'm a Microsoft Office user as well. Automatically, I just updated these apps and started using them. And from the box, the Galaxy A55 comes with One UI 6.1, and Android 14. And the main brain or the main powerhouse of the Galaxy A55 is the 4nm Exynos 1480 chipset. And this is a very capable chipset, and this chipset actually supports 5G. So the Galaxy A55 is 5G enabled, as you already know. And this chipset will handle all your gamings conveniently. Call of Duty and every other game plays very well on this device without any issues. Now the version I have here comes with 8GB of RAM and 128GB internal storage. But if that specification for some reason is not enough for you, then you can get another version that has up to 12GB of RAM and 256GB internal storage. And of course, a lot of you want to ask, hey Kingsley, how is your experience with the battery? Now, if I were to rate the battery on this device between 1 to 10, I'm actually going to give it a solid 7.5. Because if you charge this device in the morning and you go out, depending on how much of a heavy user you are, you should get to at least 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. before you start looking for a charger to charge it. And that is something that Samsung has actually done with this new line of their phones, both the flagship phones and the mid-range phones. Like for instance, the Galaxy S24 Ultra, you can actually use it all day before you charge it, which is impressive considering the kind of specs that these devices carry and all of that. We have a 50 megapixel wide angle lens, we have a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and we have a 5 megapixel. And so I've had little complaints about the kind of pictures that come out of this device. Now, most times the colors are not consistent. You could take a picture now and take it the next 5 minutes and the colors are a bit different, but that is the price you pay for using a mid-range phone. Now, most of you might not notice some of these things I'm complaining about because you just want a phone that can take good, sharp pictures, and that is what this device can do. But me, I'm a reviewer, so I have to nitpick in a way. But for the pictures that come out of the Galaxy A55, I've really not have much to complain about because when you look at the competition in the market, most of them don't take photos that are as good as what this device takes. And so I've had little complaints about the kind of pictures that come out of this device. Now, most times, the colors are not consistent. You could take a picture now and take it the next 5 minutes and the colors are a bit different, but that is the price you pay for using a mid-range phone. And even if you're a content creator, you can actually use the camera of this device as your full-time camera. It works very well. The stabilization is quite good, the image quality is quite good, and it maintains colors. So the big question is, should you go for the Galaxy A55, knowing fully well that there are other options in the market right now? And for me, for most of the options I have seen, the Galaxy A55 still stands out for me in a lot of ways. So yes, I strongly recommend that you get the Galaxy A55 if you are looking for a phone right now. And of course, if you have not subscribed to the channel, you need to do that because I have other devices that I would like to show you in a couple of videos. So I'll catch you again in the next one.